Are you curious about how you can engage with your field sales team that works fully remote and how you, as a leader, can really connect with them on a human level? If so, you're going to really enjoy my chat with Jeremy. We talked about engaging with your team, really thinking about them as human, and how you can ensure that as a leader, you're not over delegating or under delegating, but really tapping into the strengths of the team. Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your company and the problems that you solve.
So I'm the director of sales at CST Industries, and we're in Houston, Texas, and we design, engineer, manufacture, and install custom aluminum covers and structures for architectural, environmental, and industrial applications. That is a long-winded way of saying aluminum geodesic domes and covers for water and wastewater treatment, um, some petrochemical and chemical applications, and then bulk storage such as mining.
Okay, so you guys are doing some very diverse things within your organization. How did you end up in this position?
That's a great question. I ask myself that too every day, right? So I was contacted by a recruiter that was looking for a sales leader for this industry, and there aren't a lot of people necessarily working in this industry, so background in it wasn't a necessity because my background is not in aluminum domes or structures.
So tell us a little bit about how you started your career and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So my career started a while ago in material handling, which is a fancy way of saying forklifts for the most part, but was involved in the electric forklift world, where we made and manufactured electric forklifts in West Central Ohio for a company called Crown Equipment, which is a global manufacturer of electric forklifts for use in warehousing, grocery, that sort of industry. Started in Ohio, relocated to Houston, Texas with them after a few years. And then, as it tends to happen when you're in Houston, Texas, I found myself with an opportunity to get into oil and gas. So did that, was in oil and gas for about 8 years in a number of different capacities, and then found my way back into material handling, and about a year ago into the aluminum dome world.
So, as a person that's had a very diverse background, moving from different places, getting into different industries, how has this latest move in your career, how has that really impacted you?
It's interesting because I've had the opportunity to work for so many different companies and industries. As luck would have it, I've been in multi-billion-dollar publicly traded companies. I've been in family-owned private companies. I've been in startups. I've been in PE-backed companies. So it's kind of run the gamut in that regard. But the cool thing was I've been able to pick up um, just new abilities along the way from all the experiences that I've had. So it's certainly a varied background, but the cool thing is what you learn in sales is it really transfers from one industry to another.
So a lot of times what I find when people are hiring salespeople in their organization, they really are looking for somebody who has industry skills and an industry insider. But something that you said is something I tell people often: hire for sales skills. You can learn the products. You can learn the customer base. So in your experience, how has having those sales skills, how has that helped you as you moved in and out of different industries?
That's a great question. It really comes down to, I think, systems, processes,
Mm.
right? And if you're a system-oriented person, you've got your processes, you can be effective in any industry, particularly in sales.
Mm.
And that really starts, in my mind, in your planning, right? How you lay out your week. Uh, for me, I think one of the I remember saving a quote that I read somewhere, and it said, the weekday start or the workday starts the night before. And, so for me, that was Sunday evening. You had to start planning your week ahead. And I know some people might frown on that as if it's taken away from your personal time, but this is an industry where, or a career where if you want to be successful in sales, there's some work outside of the typical 8 to 5.
And the thing is, I've trained thousands, probably maybe even tens of thousands of salespeople, right, within my career. And when we do our sales training, we always start with this mindset work, and then we do a whole segment on time blocking. And the number one thing that salespeople say is most valuable is time blocking. Not how to prospect, not asking better questions, not even closing. It is time blocking. And it's because, in field sales, it's just like go sell, go make calls, go find people, right? And nobody teaches you how to really manage your time. And taking ownership of your time is the key to success in sales.
I love that you said time blocking, and that is the number one skill that I would recommend for any salesperson on my list as well. And really, the more specific you are about it, the more effective it is. And that's something that I've preached for, gosh, over a decade now. Is time blocking itself is crucial, and it's important to success. But within those time blocks, you need to be even more specific. I remember I had field sales reps, and they say, "Well, I'm gonna, do cold calling during this period, this time blocking time." And this was in-person visits they were going to stop by. And I said, "Well, who are you going to see?" And they were like, "Well, I don't know." I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me, list it. I want to know who you're going to see in that, specific block of time."
Yeah.
And I liken it to a trip to the grocery store, right? Where
Mhm.
if I go to the grocery store knowing that I need food, I'm probably going to be in there for a long time.
Yeah.
It's probably going to maybe be effective, maybe not. Maybe I'm going to come out with some food and realize I don't have everything I need. But if I go in there with a list, I can probably get the things I need and get out. But even to take it a step further, if I go in there with a list and it's broken up by where the stuff is in the store, I can get in and out even faster, be more effective, and have what I need. So, it's one thing to time block, but it's something else to time block specifically, and lay out exactly what you're going to do.
Be like drill down into what you're going to be doing, because you're right. If I just say, oh, I'm going to go fly to Denver and I'm going to go see customers, anytime a sales rep would put in a travel request and say, I'm going here to see this person, I'm like, I'm sorry, to justify this trip, I need to see at least 5 meetings. Because if you're going, you can't just go, but they're like, this person needs to see a demo. I'm like, okay, that's great. But who else can you see? Are there any
Exactly.
events that you can attend? Can you do a lunch and learn while you're there? Because make the most of your time. Like, it is literally your most valuable asset. And if you don't think about your territory, your customer base as a small business, you will not be successful.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
So you mentioned systems and processes. So we talked about time. That is a very important thing. But what other systems and processes have you seen that help salespeople be very successful in their positions?
You know, this is a task that I've done a handful of times, and I just did it again, and it goes hand in hand with time blocking, but it's understanding value versus urgency, and
Mhm.
plotting value on the x-axis, urgency on a y-axis, and then in 4 quadrants, from high value, high urgency to low value, low urgency, looking at what you do week in and week out and putting it in one of those quadrants. And it really opens up your eyes to how you're spending your time and is it being spent effectively. I just did this again a couple weeks ago through a leadership training, and some of the low value stuff is like low value, low urgency expense reports and your travel planning and all that stuff. But what you start to realize is a lot of those high urgency things are low value to you. They're being driven by somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, how do I maybe shift from their urgent tasks to my, maybe high value, low urgency stuff. But that's the stuff that is going to make a difference in my day, in my job, and make me more effective. So how do you kind of move stuff around between those quadrants and control your schedule a little bit better? So like I said, along the lines of time blocking, that lower right hand quadrant of high value, low urgency stuff, that's the stuff you have to time block and make sure it's getting into your week, because otherwise it's kind of back burner stuff that you're not getting to because it's trumped by all the urgent stuff.
Oof, that's so good. One of the things that I do when I'm working with leaders is I ask them to track their time for 2 full business days. And they're like, whoa, Wesley, why do you want to see what I'm doing? And one of the reasons is because when I just sit and I'm talking to a group of leaders and I'm like, okay, so what are the things that are sucking your time? They really can't put it into words. But when I see a nice Excel document with all the things in it, I'm like, okay, so why are you doing this thing? And the next thing that we talk about is delegation, because the reason that you're doing these things is because you lack the skill of delegation. So, in your position in the different companies you've worked with, what is something that you've done to really learn to delegate better?
Oh my gosh, Wesleyan, you hit me right in the soft spot with that. Delegation is probably the thing I struggle with most. And it's
Mm.
because as a sales leader, I look at anything that I'm handing off to salespeople as taking them out of the territory, right? And taking their eye off the ball when it comes to what they need to be doing, which is selling, right? And for a salesperson, the company's ROI is when they're in front of a customer, and anything else they're doing is taken away from that. So I really struggle with delegating necessarily to salespeople. But what I've found is with maybe some coaching, there are some of those things that, when it comes to forecasting and pipeline management, that you can delegate some of that to them, and have them kind of coach up their abilities there to help you with your reporting.
So how did you strike that balance? Because I like that kind of stuff, since I am not a lover of doing the little things, the weeds. Weeds are not Wesleyan's friend. Those are not my friends. Um, so I always made sure that I taught my salespeople how to really focus on the things that helped me step into that strategic place. But how do you balance that? I want to give them a bit more to take some off my plate, but I still need them out there in the field in front of customers. So what is that balance that you found that you can really strike there?
I think it's working in our one-on-ones each week on their time blocking, on their planning. I had salespeople in the past who would prioritize some of the stuff I asked them to do. And, then when we talked about something else, it was, oh, I didn't get it done because I was working on this other thing that you gave me. And it was, okay, okay. I see where you're going with that. That was certainly not my intent, right? So then it's looking at their week, looking at their calendar with them and saying, okay, let's talk about doing this, maybe in this block here on Friday afternoon or so, where it's maybe you're less likely to have sales appointments.
So it's really helping them to see their day, right? Because I don't like to put people in a box. So I'm like, you got to have some time in the office. So whether you have a full day on a Monday and a Friday, those are your office days, and you're in the field Tuesday through Thursday, or maybe say Monday morning I'm in the field, Tuesday afternoon I'm in the field, whatever it is. I don't care. I just think that it's really important that salespeople understand that you can't just be a road warrior. There has to be time when you're in the office. And you're also not an inside salesperson. So you must go see people also, right?
Right,
So even
right.
that balance of helping them understand like how to balance the two arms of their job, that really isn't that easy.
Absolutely. And I've been in different environments where, yes, we have had local salespeople who can come into the office. And at the same time, right, you have to, how often do you want to see a salesperson, right? I don't want to see them in here every day, right? Because then the question is, what are you doing? Why are you
What do you-
here? Go sell
Yeah.
something. And currently all of our salespeople are remote. I've got salespeople across the country, so they can't come into the office. We do try to get them in maybe once a quarter just to be in the office and see things. But, um, so we're on teams, definitely spending time together that way. But that is certainly a balance. And, one thing I push, especially when I hire a new salesperson, and we review this daily, but even for our current tenured salespeople, is in your time blocking, setting aside 30 minutes at the end of your day for follow up, for CRM updates, and really for just personal reflection on how did this day go? How did I perform today? Would I be proud of, am I proud of my efforts today? If I was talking this over with my manager, with our leadership, am I proud of my effort? And I feel like that has helped, really just, it's helped all of our salespeople and every salesperson I've worked with to really take a long, hard look at what they're doing day in and day out, and are they being effective in the field?
That's good. So, with a team that is very much spread out throughout the country, what are some things that you've done to build that cohesion within them?
Um, you know, I came into a situation where the team was already here. And that presents obviously its own challenges, right? When you take over a team that's, existing and they already have kind of their rhythm. But for me, it's FaceTime, right? It's, hey, let's have a meeting. We all get on the meeting. It's, hey, turn your cameras on. I know it might not, right? Like, but at the same time, I don't like looking at myself on camera alone, right? So everybody turn your cameras on. Let's talk. Um, but part of that is just getting to know everybody as, on a personal level. Like, yes, we all work together, but we're people outside of work. And what makes you tick, and what do you like? And I want to know about your family. Do you have a spouse? Do you have kids? What do they like to do? Um, I feel like just getting to that level with your team is huge, and it helps the whole team. Because then when you all get on calls together and you can talk about these things, maybe aside from just the work stuff, it really puts everybody at ease, and really bumps up the trust factor.
Yeah, it's that cohesion, right? And I think that what we have to remember is that we're humans, and so are the people that we're leading. And they bring, I like to say, they bring their whole selves to work. If they had a fight with their wife last night, if their kid threw up all over them on the way to school, like those things are coming with them. And if we don't allow people to really tap into the human side of who they are, then as leaders, we're like, well, why is their performance off? Why are they not communicating as much, right? Like it bleeds into it. So when we create that space where they can share, I think it helps the person, but it also helps the organization.
I agree, and definitely, um, just to kind of add on to that is I try to spend time, with all of those sales reps, in their environment. So I travel to go spend time with them. And, that one-on-one time there is also important. To just try to do this all remotely, I think would be difficult. And I like getting out there and spending time with salespeople on sales calls. Like that is the bang for my buck is in that, right? It's ride-alongs, it's joint visits and all that stuff. And just being there to kind of bounce off ideas and talk, and um, not try to take over a sales call or anything like that. I've gotten comments from customers like, "So you're the sales leader? Like you don't say a lot." Like I don't need to, right?
Yeah.
I'm just here for support.
Yeah.
So
And that is so important. I remember I had a sales manager when I was a sales rep, and anytime he would travel with me, he would take over the meetings. And so when he was like, "Oh, Wesley, I'm coming to travel in your territory," I would take him to the customers, the prospects that I cared about the least. Because what happened was when a sales manager takes over the conversation, then that salesperson drops down so many notches in that customer and that prospect's eyes, and so they would start calling him and asking him
that's great.
questions, and he became the magical person. And that is like one of the key things that I think is so important as managers. Like you're there to support, you're the backup. Like if they need you, they'll call on you, but don't show up and have your ego enter the room because you're hurting that salesperson. You get to go back home, but they live in this territory. Like these are their people.
Yeah. how deflating for a salesperson, right? To have your manager come in and think that they're coming in to save the day, and just take over the call. Like that's brutal. And yeah, that's not fair to the salesperson, and certainly not why I'm there. I'm just there to smile and nod and learn.
So, as you have continued to grow into this current role in this current place, what are some of the challenges that your sales team is currently having?
Great question. So currently, it's the big challenges out there in our industry is we're getting international competitors who are able to maybe source materials at a lower price because it's international. They also have maybe different standards in engineering that we don't necessarily have here in the United States. So that is a threat that is constantly out there that we're working through. Um, and then beyond that, we're seeing enhancements in technology in manufacturing automation that has lowered the barrier of entry in some ways in what we do because we do, the product that we produce is a very technical, it's highly engineered, it's custom fit for applications, and there's a lot of um, it's complicated. I'll put it that way. It's a complex product, and because of those advances in technology, like I said, barriers to entry are a little bit lower, but there's still no substitute for engineering, for product quality, and for experience. And our company has installed, gosh, I think we're over 40,000 different covers in 125 countries. We are kind of the gold standard of the industry, which is, I mean, that certainly helps when you're out there selling, but we're never the low price. So, and I don't know that I ever have been in my career. So I do enjoy selling quality.
Yeah, I was never the low price. I literally would tell people, I'm like, yeah, if you want that competitor who will drop their price 50%, like that's not what I'm here for. I was always the type of salesperson that like value was big, and I needed to help them understand that maybe you're paying a little bit more, but what I want you to realize is when you pay less today, you're going to have to replace it in 3 or 5 years. Whereas this is going to last. Like I would literally tell them, we still have units in the field from 20 years ago. And we still service them because that's another
Right.
thing that competitors will do. They're like, oh, it's been 5 years. We don't service those anymore. So they force you to buy things. And so I feel like it's really important to help our salespeople understand, like if we play the price game, win on price, lose on price, right? Like how do we build value?
And I love that because in some ways, a lot of what we do, the products we sell will last 30 or 40 years. So the
Mm,
people that are buying the products today are probably going to be retired by the time they need another one. So it's a lot of almost kind of one-off situations. So you have to
mm,
prove yourself every time. And I
mm.
do like to get the price, I guess, issue out early, just up front that, hey, look, we are not the low cost provider. We are
Yep.
selling something that is a premium product. And is that going to be an issue for you? Let's just get
Mhm.
it out of the way up front rather
Yeah.
than going all the way through the process to find out they went with a competitor who was 10% less.
Yeah.
Okay, let's save us all that time.
Yeah, I'll be releasing a book later this year. And it's a
Great.
manual for field sales. And I actually have a story in the book about when I was early in my sales career. I played that price game. I dropped the price. And every time the person, because I sold capital equipment, so every time they would come in to buy consumables, I would just give them the price, their standard discount. That's what I called it, their standard discount. So when they wanted to buy another unit because they got to capacity, I gave them their standard discount. And it had been a couple weeks. I'm like, where's my PO? I called the person up and they're like, oh, we went with the competitor because they were 5% lower than you. I said, are you serious? After
Right.
all of this time? But I built no value. It was
Sure.
literally transactional. And I'm selling like 50, 60, $70,000 piece of equipment. It wasn't a transactional sale. And
Right.
so when we think about things like that, that's the reason that we lose business, right? We lose business if we don't build the value. And so when a salesperson say I lost on price, I'm like, oh no, you didn't build value. No, you didn't.
Exactly.
You didn't build value, and you didn't qualify up front that we were within what they thought was appropriate. Not do you have $50,000, but we're between $60,000 to $80,000. Does that meet your expectations, kind of thing? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Awesome.
So let me ask you this question. When you think about your career, when you think about the trajectory of all that you've been through, what is a lesson that you learned that was a hard lesson for you to swallow at the time, but it's something that made you better as a salesperson, as a leader in your position?
Sales is all about putting in the work, right? It's putting in the reps. There are no there are no shortcuts in sales, as much as we all want them to be. You know, you read if you spend too much time in social media about shortcuts and easier ways to do things. And let's just be honest, you gotta put in the work. It's like going to the gym. If you want to be stronger, you got to put in the effort, right? You can't let somebody else lift the weights for you, right? If you want to get stronger, you've got to do it yourself. So sales is a lot like that in that, you have to have a process and you have to follow it. And the results maybe aren't immediate, right? If I go out and just make a couple extra sales calls, is that going to make my month, my quarter? No, right? But if you keep doing it and you keep building upon that effort, you keep growing that pipeline, the results will come. And you just have to stick to that and trust the process, your time blocking and all those good things that we talked about. Keep doing those things and you'll get your numbers, you'll hit those results. But the AI stuff, all that's out there is great. I think they're tools to use to improve and maybe improve some processes, make yourself better, but they're not a replacement for doing the work. I can't tell you how many emails I get in my junk email box of people just, the same emails keep coming and coming and coming, and none of it's personal. It's just, bot after bot. And it's like, none of this works, right? You have to be genuine at the end of the day. You still got to be a person, and people buy from people, and typically they buy from people they like. So
Yeah.
you've got to put in the work. And sales, it's not easy, right? Everybody wants sales to be easy. There's nothing easy about sales. Prospecting's a grind. Cold calling's difficult. Rejection is a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's uncomfortable.
Yep.
But you got to get over those things, and you got to do the little things every day, and you'll get there, right? It's having the discipline to make the cold calls and just keep pushing yourself, even if you don't want to do it.
It's the reps, it's the grind. I think it's building the good habits, right? So building upon what you're doing. It's I tell everybody sales is hard. You get more no's than yeses. You get rejected. You put 6 months of work in just for somebody to say no, right? And you have to build that internal stamina to really keep going. So, as you think about your organization, where do you hope to be in the next 5 years?
Oh my gosh. You know, what I found I love, as much as I love frontline sales management, I really also enjoy the strategy side of things. And that's what I've really enjoyed about my role here at CST is that I've gotten to get more involved in the strategy and where we're going. So I want to keep working towards that, and it's fun for me. I love the challenge. So I love being thrown into something and having to figure it out. Like, oh my gosh, where are we going? So, last fall we put together a 3-year strat plan for where we're going, and we didn't really have that before. And that was a blast. I really enjoyed that. So, for me, it's continuing to grow what we're doing here at CST, and then also, growing in that role and moving more to the strategic side of things in that growth.
Okay. Okay. So, sales strategist. I love it. I love it. I love it. Being a sales strategist. Jeremy, this
Sure.
has been a fantastic conversation. And if people want to reach out to you and learn more about you or chat with you, what's the one best way?
LinkedIn is the easiest way to find me. I'm out there. I think I'm one of one. You're going to have a hard time finding another Jeremy Rinehammer. So pretty easy to find.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for your time, your talent, and your expertise.
Wesleyan, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.